Okay, since ascending to a new level of awareness, since I became free and clear, since I got on the wagon 17 days ago and began retaining my precious bodily fluids, I have come to realize a lot of things. And this just struck me this morning as I was lying in bed. Now, this might seem like a fairly elementary thing to some of you who may already apprehend these kinds of notions, but for me, it was kind of a new thing to consider. And frankly, it's something that that probably has crossed my mind before, even prior to my current campaign of retaining bodily fluids. So, so I don't really know if I would give too much credence to my state of awareness, my current state of being, having been heightened, but who knows. What I came to be aware of was, I was thinking of the video that I recorded the other day about the "Don't Tase Me Bro" guy, and how it had to happen in public. They had to, this guy had to be seen bringing up Skull and Bones in his question to John Kerry, and then he had to be seen getting punished for bringing up Skull and Bones in public to John Kerry. Now, it's not so much that of course, it's you could say everybody already knows, or people already know about it. Yeah, that's not the point, though. You're not supposed to talk about it. If you talk about it, then you're touching the third rail. It's one of those things, just like, you're like the emperor's new clothes. You're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to. Everybody's aware of it, but we all have to pretend that that things are otherwise. Okay. So what was I thinking about this particular event? What it made me realize was that it can hit on two different levels, and this is sort of if any of you have seen the this sort of graph that's been a meme in certain circles amongst people who are Baj resistant. There's a graph showing how the people who are the most resistant are those on either side of the intelligence spectrum. So you have low IQ people resistant for their own reasons, which aren't very sophisticated, but are still solid, common sense things. And then you have very high IQ people who are also resistant and who have more sophisticated minds, but the important thing is that they are aware of the reasons to be resistant, whereas it's the people in the middle, it's the middlemen who, the people with master's degrees, as I think it's been shown elsewhere, who are most likely to be Baj positive. So with incidents like the "Don't Tase Me Bro" guy, or the virus sham, or 9/11, or Flandy Fluke, or just sub in whatever's being hyped, whatever contrived event has been cultivated and is being put forth into our heads to seed us with ideas that they are intending for us to have, to give us this low vibrational fear mongering kind of feeling or attitude. people who see things like what happened to the Don't Tase Me Bro guy. Let's just take that as an example, okay? Or 9/11. Let's take that as an example because I wrote for the 20-year anniversary about that event, and you can still find my writings at 19arabs.blogspot.com. The title of the series of essays is 19 Arabs with Box Cutters, 20 Years of Lies. That's the subtitle of the first essay in that collection. But in any case, the fear-mongering works on two separate levels. And I think it's interesting to note this. People who aren't very sophisticated and they see something like a person who asks a question that's considered out of line getting tased in public for no good reason, in front of hundreds of people, or who sees an event go down like airplanes flying into buildings and so forth, what the 9/11 OS official story was. On a certain level of credulity, it hits just as in the way that it's intended to hit. People believe the official story and thus go along with what they're told to believe about this, that, and the other thing. Kinds of ideas that these events were intended, contrived to make them think and feel. Okay. The people who with less sophisticated minds, let's just say, not necessarily low IQ. I don't want to disparage people, and I think saying low IQ has the aura of disparagement. But people who are at a high level of credulity, you can actually have a high native intelligence and still be a very credulous person. It's what happens through training somehow. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. So on the one hand, it hits these certain kind of people, the people with a high degree of credulity. They see these things and they believe the official story as it's being told. People passing me on scooters here. I think it's a bachelor party or something. They believe exactly what they're told. But on the other end, people who see through all of the gaps in the official story, they realize, wow, this is what the people in power can do to us. This is the kind of power and control and dominion that they have over us. And so, even though we know that the story they're telling us is hooey, we still are manipulated in spite of ourselves, because the message that we get from these kinds of events, and from them trying to seed terms like the new normal, or what somebody pointed out to me today, the time before. There was an article in one of the worthless mainstream publications, talking about how with this there's going to be more of a shortage on dessert foods and snacks in grocery stores now, with the snarling of supply chains and whatever. So you're not going to see as much on the shelves as you would in the time before. The time before, right? That's reinforcing the new normal, which in itself is just this brain scrambling, fear mongering kind of notion that we can change reality into whatever we want it to be, and you just have to suffer through it because we have power and you don't. Ha ha ha. But what I'm wanting to point out here, what I think the important thing to realize is that even if we see through these things, we are still manipulated if our takeaway is to say, wow, our rulers are really powerful. They could, they could do anything and get away with it. So we better just accept our fate. We better just become passive and compliant in our own way, even if we see through the lies. We still have to abide by our rulers' dictates because they have power and we don't, and they can make buildings come down and kill thousands of people and convince most of the population, the credulous side of the population, that it was 19 Arabs with box cutters. Or if we don't like what a president is doing, we can take him out in public in front of a bunch of people, like what happened in Dallas a few decades ago. Or again, you can fill in whatever event you want, but the important thing is to realize that even if you are somebody who sees through, as I was mocked by Luke Ford, who sees through the bullshit. I'd forgotten about that. Just had a flashback. Even if you are someone of that caliber and you pride yourself for your lack of credulity, well, don't get too cocky, as Han Solo would say. Don't get cocky, because if you're allowing the message to still seep through, the message that they want you to gather from what they have done, which is that they can do anything, and they are God, basically. They are the ones who should be feared, and we should not incur their wrath. We should be compliant and avoid incurring their wrath. We should not wear out their patience, right? Like our wonderful president recently said, our patience is wearing thin. Uh-oh, their patience is wearing thin. And that was one of the more unsubtle, stick rather than carrot moments. Kind of a rhetorically clunkier moment, or instance of what I am talking about here. But anyway, you see how you could say on the low IQ and high IQ side, or on the low credulity and high credulity side, you have you have people being successfully manipulated by these tyrants, these monsters, these psychopaths in power who run the world. We're letting them successfully manipulate us if not only if we believe their cock and bull stories like the credulous people do, but also if we see through their lies, but we still but that has the effect on us that says, oh my gosh, they can do anything. They could make anything happen. They could kill us all. They could really, really bring the pain. So we'd better be intimidated. We'd better cower before them. So it's not enough to see through it. You also have to not be intimidated. You have to not be willing to see them the way that they want you to see them. That's the real challenge. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will, or any thoughts, and I will always, as always, read them with great interest. My name is Andy Nowicki. Please check out my work at altrightnovelist.com and check out my latest book, The Insurrectionist, which can be found at terrorhousepress.com.